Hey, I'm Nicholas from Rtings.com. LG released a few OLED TVs in 2023, with most of them being updated from the last version. Because OLEDs all use the same basic technology with self-lit pixels and perfect blacks, it can be hard to fully understand the differences between these TVs. Today, we'll clarify some of those differences between two of their popular models, the C3 and the B3. We'll start right off the bat and say they're pretty similar, but if corporate asks you to find the differences between the two pictures, you might actually find some. The C3 is the higher end model of the two, so unlike in school, getting a C is actually better than a B. The C3 is also available in more sizes, from 42 inches to a whopping 83-inch size, so it's good for anything from small rooms to large home theater setups. On the other hand, the B3 is only available in 55, 65, and 77-inch sizes, but those sizes are good enough for most people anyways. Another difference is the processors they use, but we'll get into that later. For now, let's start with something simple and look at their designs. Looking at the two TVs, you could tell right away that they're siblings. They have similar stands, with the B3 having a slightly bigger footprint. That's an advantage though, because the C3 wobbles easily on its stand. Aside from this issue, both TVs are very well made, and the C3 does have a slight advantage because its materials feel just a bit more premium and solid. You can notice this with the stand, where it's metal on the C3 and plastic on the B3. Besides that, the back of each TV features plastic housing for the inputs and a metal back panel. The plastic housing is shaped a bit differently on each, but you won't notice this at all when looking from the front. While we're in the back, let's take a quick look at the inputs too. Besides the layout and location of the ports, there's little difference in terms of what each TV offers. The C3 has an extra USB port, but that's minor anyways. They each have 4 HDMI ports, but the main advantage of the C3 is that they all support HDMI 2.1 bandwidth, whereas the B3 only supports HDMI 2.1 on 2 ports. This is something to think about if you plan on connecting multiple HDMI 2.1 sources, like if you have a gaming PC and a console. So if that's the case, the C3 might be the better choice for you. On top of that, one of the HDMI ports on the B3 also doubles as the eARC port. So you only get one other slot to connect your HDMI 2.1 device, unless you get a receiver or soundbar that supports HDMI 2.1 pass-through. It's important to remember that one of the HDMI ports is an eARC port even on the C3, but at least there are 3 other slots to which you can connect your gaming devices. Regarding these eARC ports, both support pass-through for the same audio formats, so neither TV has an advantage. The same can be said about their extra features and built-in smart platform, as they each have the same 2023 version of LG's WebOS system. This lets you easily stream content, and there are many apps you can choose from. Alright, we've mostly been focusing on what's the same between these two TVs, so let's talk about the exciting part and talk about what's different regarding picture quality. The main advantage of the C3 is that it gets much brighter, especially in HDR. This lets highlights pop for a more vivid HDR experience. Because of this, the C3 is the better choice if you're mainly using it for HDR content, whether it's watching movies or gaming. The higher peak brightness on the C3 is also an advantage if you do want to use it in a bright room. While you shouldn't place it opposite a window with direct sunlight, it's still fine to use it in a room with a few lights around. If that's the case, both TVs have the same glossy screen coating and don't have too many distracting reflections, so both options are fine for dim rooms. Besides the brightness, the biggest difference between them is the processors they use and how they affect the picture quality. The C3 uses the higher-end A9 processor compared to the A7 processor on the B3. The names don't mean much, but they perform a bit differently. The processor on the C3 upscales lower resolution content better, resulting in sharper images from sources like cable boxes or even Blu-rays. It also smooths out low quality content better and keeps more detail than on the B3, which is ideal if you watch a lot of content from streaming apps that use compression. While the B3 is fine for this, the C3 is just a bit better. It's important to know that if you watch 4K content from physical media, your TV won't have to do as much processing, and these differences are less noticeable. But even at that, the C3 also has an advantage with processing HDR content, as there's less banding between shades of similar colors. This is good for watching scenes like a sunset, and the C3 is mainly better than the B3 when it comes to banding with greens and grays. However, the B3 does have an advantage when it comes to PQ EOTF processing. This means it displays content at the brightness it's meant to be at, but the C3 is still fantastic for that regardless. That's pretty much it when it comes to the differences between the two regarding picture quality. There aren't as many differences when it comes to gaming though, and you get pretty much the same fantastic performance between both. They each have a 120Hz refresh rate, support the same VRR formats, have a fast response time, and low input lag. So you don't get an advantage by choosing the higher end C3 over the B3 regarding pure gaming performance. Now that we know about the differences between the LG C3 and the B3, which one should you buy? Simply put, you can't go wrong with either TV, as any OLED offers outstanding picture quality in dark rooms. However, choosing the higher end C3 over the B3 depends on what you think is important for your viewing experience. If you care about having higher peak brightness for watching HDR content, then the C3 is the better choice. Even if you like watching old content with a lower resolution, the improved upscaling on the C3 makes it better. Lastly, because the C3 is available in more sizes, that's also an advantage if you don't want to get something in the 55 to 77 inch range. However, if you don't need those extra perks that the C3 offers, especially if you just plan on gaming with one console or PC, you can save money by getting the B3. It offers the same fantastic gaming performance as the C3, so there isn't much of a difference. Of course, if you aren't satisfied with the B3 or the C3, LG also offers their premium G3 model. This one is different because it uses new MLA technology to get even brighter, so it's an even better choice for watching HDR content in bright or dark rooms. However, the differences in brightness are only noticeable in some scenes, and the 83-inch model of the G3 doesn't have the same MLA panel. Another thing is that the G3 doesn't come with a stand, so you should only consider it if you plan on wall mounting it. Otherwise, you'll be happy with the C3. Well, that's all for our comparison between the LG C3 and the B3. Which one do you think you'll get? Let us know in the comments. To learn more, check out our written reviews on the website. The links are in the description below. Until next time, I'm Nicholas from Rtings.com, where we help you find the best products for your needs. Ciao. Looking for headphones and can't seem to find a pair? We have just what you need. In-depth reviews with all the data you can't get anywhere else. Head over to our new channel, Rtings.com Audio, and make sure to hit that subscribe button.